guys, what's going on? Welcome to The Camera Adds 10 Pounds. I'm your host, Peter Surs. And today, guest, I've been trying to get this person in here for a long time, but he's like not bi-coastal. What's the word I would be looking for? By northwestern.
Easy. Where are you going with this?
He travels a lot, obviously, but he's gonna we'll talk about it. But he's got a special on Amazon right now called Negative Reinforcement. He's a regular on Conan. He's got his own podcast with his now fiance, who is a urologist. Is that the word?
Yeah,
Yeah.
urological surgeon.
Urological surgeon. It's
Yeah.
called The Full Release. I actually listened to it, which is crazy that other comedians listen to other people's podcasts, but I like it.
Thank you.
And he's just someone that I look up to a lot, and you guys are going to learn about him a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for my guest, comedian, writer, everything, Mo Mandel.
Thank you so much.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Thanks for finally coming in.
Dude, absolutely. I'm sorry it took a while.
It's okay.
Yeah, like you're saying, I have this fiance who lives in Portland, so I'm like very rarely, if I'm not doing stand-up on the road, I'm generally up there. So
It's nice to rep there.
it is very nice, and I'm so much more famous and accomplished up there than I am in L.A.
You're preaching to the choir, dude.
Dude, you pop by a comedy show in Portland. They're
Yeah.
like, you've been on television?
Yeah.
Holy shit! You feel like Jerry Seinfeld, and you come back here. They're like, you're not buddies with Rogan? Get the fuck out of here!
Wait, you're not friends with Joe Rogan?
I mean, is that how I got booked? In passing, I've had some conversations
Yeah.
with him at the Comedy Store. If that helps.
Yeah, of course. So we'll start about this first since we already
Yeah.
talked about it. Your fiance lives in Portland, right?
Yeah.
And you live here, and like I don't know if you know this about my girlfriend, but my girlfriend lives in Oklahoma probably like 4 or 5 months out of the year.
No, I didn't know that. I knew she was an Oklahoman.
Yeah, so they have a farm back home, so she goes home for the whole summer, but like also sporadically throughout the year for like
To
a
help
couple
out on the
weeks.
farm?
Yeah,
Wow.
like they have a watermelon farm in Oklahoma.
Dude, that's wild. So what does she? I mean, does she want to do that, or she's just the only one who knows how to pick those watermelons? Or
It's a little bit of both. She does love it. She moved out here for like just because she for one knew that she didn't want that to be the only thing she ever knew.
Right.
Being because her town is
you
like
gotta move beyond
yeah,
the melon
her
patch.
her town is a town of 1,200 people.
Wow.
And most people don't leave.
Yeah.
So she knew that she needed.
Did
to
you
get out
ever
of
do
there.
you ever think about just hanging up your spokes and just going out there to join the family melon farm?
You only asked that because you've never been. No way, dude. I mean, I've accepted now.
Sounds like a simple life,
Yeah.
though. You could really just sort of meditate.
Oh, it's for sure the
Pick
simple
those
life. There ain't no
melons.
fucking meditating though. You're working from the time the sun comes up till it comes down.
Oh yeah, see, fuck that. I always forget
Exactly.
that about farm life.
Yeah,
It
like
is
you
a lot of
act-
work.
It's a
yeah.
lot of that's all it is. It's just nonstop. Like I've had her on here just to talk about like the nutrition of it all and stuff. But yeah, it's super hard work. There's no relaxing. Your relaxing is at the end of the day when you just sit down and then fall asleep on the couch because you're so
Yeah,
tired.
then it's not worth it. Whenever I think of the country, it's either like lying around being lazy.
Right.
The idea of working hard and also being in the country, that defeats the whole purpose.
Yeah, that part of it is like the relaxing and like the nature and like just cows and horses running around. You're like, oh, this is cool. But then you're like, okay, we need your help to load 400 melons all day long. You're like, yeah, I'm good.
I would take a pass on that.
But yeah, so I'm in that boat where we have to make it work because while she's gone for now this year it's going to be longer, like probably like 5 months she's going to be gone. I'm also on the road, 25 weekends a year at least, along with everything. So like we spend a lot of time apart. So I
yeah,
feel like-
it's tough, man. It's hard because like sometimes I think about it in terms of like when I used to go skiing, I'd only go skiing like 1 weekend a year. So I was done with that weekend. I would remember last days just connect, and yet it's hard. I mean,
cast up sometimes.
she worked right before we went to bed. Right, we have to together
Right.
for an hour.
Yeah.
But it's about sex and medicine questions and all the kind of goofy shit that we do on our podcast. So it's like it's not necessarily like the most organic kind of connection,
course.
but I think it is sort of in that regard. I think it is kind of healthy, you know, because it makes you have to like, all right, we have to check in at this hour.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend a long distance relationship. I mean, it's crazy. I can't believe I've been in one for 2.5 years or so.
It's been that long already?
Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy.
Oh, over 2 years at least. But now that we're engaged, she's going to she's looking for a job down here. That was the big rule. She wouldn't look for a job until I popped that question.
Okay.
So now I'm holding her to that.
Good for you, man. Congratulations.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad. I know it's like, I think part of, I mean, obviously she's super successful.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. I'm asking her to give up her job to move down here, even though she makes way more money than I do.
Right.
So I'm sort of like, hey, take a. I mean, like it's a crazy thing, but I mean, she understands that for me to move up there would basically having to give up everything. So
Right. That's the thing. It's like you have, even if you're not, at least like in stand up and entertainment and whatever, like you could do stand up and just be on the road nonstop. But if you want something to quote unquote happen, you pretty much have to be here for.
I think for the most part, I mean, there are, you know, with these podcasts and stuff, there's more and more people who are able to do it from afar. But my main thing is like at this point, kind of writing and pitching shows and stuff. So yeah, I was like, yes, I could move up there, but then we're going to be in a position probably when we have kids where like I have to be down here all the time, and it's like, I don't know. I'd rather just. You know, I'm a selfish guy, so I'd rather she just move. I guess that's the easiest way to say it.
I like how you say selling shows. Like, it's just like that easy.
It's not that
But
easy.
you've done it, though.
I've done it many times, but it's not.
times,
I'm not saying it's easy at all. A lot of times, yeah. It's definitely not easy. But it's sort of like once you kind of, like anything, you know, once you pick what you want to work on, you know, I find myself more focused on, like, writing than I do on pretty much anything else these days. So, yeah, I guess I've had some success being able to sell some concepts, sell a couple movies that I'm writing now, and then you just sort of hope these things go. You know, so far I've had one that's gone to series, Comedy Knockout, and then
Comedy Knockout,
right, which was like a panel show. But you know, you don't want to get in the position where, like, God willing, your career goes to the next level, but then you're having to be away from your family and stuff all the time. You know, then you might as well just do stand up.
So I would like for you, as someone who is way ahead of me, to just share with everybody that's listening that doesn't get it. What you kind of like what you just said, like that's when people ask me why I don't have kids, I'm like, because I'm going to be gone a lot and it's not fair.
Well, people do it, you know, but it is like, okay, I was out of town this weekend, you know, and it was kind of nice. I was just up in Seattle by myself doing stand-up, just sort of like, you know, waking up, going to the gym. Yeah, it's great. But, like, if you have, like, kids at home, I don't know how your wife doesn't want to just kill you if you're up there, unless you're making in, you know, real money.
Of course.
She's getting up, dealing with, I mean, like, then you have to hire a sitter. I mean, it's like, my brother's got a baby right now. It sounds impossible.
Yeah.
So I don't understand how people do it, you know? And if you have to justify making, like, you know, $2,000 max or whatever on the road in a weekend, which is not easy to do every weekend at all, then you're like, okay, we're gonna have to pay $1,200 of that to a sitter. I mean, I don't know how it works.
I'm telling you, I get it.
I genuinely don't understand how it works.
The thing is, I find like, and like I said, you know, you're ahead of me, you know, so you've done more things,
whatever. But I mean, like you know, until you're making millions, it's the same problem, right? You know what I mean? How do you justify? Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, but I want to have kids. I don't want to be one of these people who puts it all on the career,
of course,
because I don't know if you do that. I don't know if your career ever gets big enough to justify that, you know, and it better be real big.
Yeah, I feel like for me, people that are outside of like the business, let's say, are the ones that are like, oh, when are you going to have kids and blah, blah, blah. And then the people that are in the business are the opposite. Whereas like, if you're like, hey, we're having kids, they're like, oh, really? Like, you're ready?
Right.
It's like the total opposite. It just depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, 100%. No, Hollywood is not a realistic thing at all. You know, all friends who are in their 40s, like, yeah, we're decided to try. You know, it's just like, you know, okay, you better do it now if you're going to. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. People are so focused on career here, but you're pretty young though, right? What are you, like 33?
Sure.
35 max, right?
I mean, sure.
All right.
I
don't know.
We're the same. I think we're the same age. I'm pretty sure. The thing is,
you're darker skinned.
I'm glad
and you're wearing an NSYNC shirt, so
that's part of it. You have to keep yourself. I mean, but
that should make you older.
That dates me. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I'm confident enough to wear this, unless I was like, you know, 2 when they were popular. But obviously, we're about this. We're all.
I'm noticing on your shirt, JT is the biggest picture. Now that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, JC is
JC,
middle.
yeah, JC.
Well,
So,
I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but like when NSYNC was in its like prime, it was Justin and JC.
right.
Like they were like
Yeah, they were the two
even though
dreamboats.
even though they were a group, those were like the two lead guys. Whereas like Backstreet Boys, they all kind of split the duties. You
Yeah.
know, NSYNC was definitely like JT, JC, and then when they
Well,
didn't.
so why did JC's career not take off? Drugs? Is it drugs?
No, I don't think he's in.
I mean,
JC, I'm sorry that Mo said that.
it would just be
if you're
fun if he
listening.
was. It was like he
No.
became a huge heroin addict.
No, he's. I mean, he used to work out of my gym all the time. I used to see him all the time. I think that he just chose the wrong production people to work with. I liked his album, but like JT went out and got fucking Neptunes and Timbaland to work on his album, and JC Chazé was working with like, oh fuck, I can't. What's the? Oh god damn it! I'm gonna.
It's interesting you say it, though, because that's like kind of indicative. That's so true. of So much of entertainment, like
Mm-hmm.
that one decision could change everything.
Oh.
Because if you're the guy whose album goes out and does great, now all the team wants to start working for you, and if it doesn't, then they start thinking you're cold and they back off.
Yeah.
That's a scary reality. You know, we're all trying to get our big breakdown here, but like, if it doesn't really work out like you want it to, it can be very hard to ever bounce back from that.
Yeah. And he's still. I mean, I don't know how much money they all made, but I'm sure they're all fine. You know, I don't know.
I don't know.
Because they left. You know, they left. And they were with Lou Pearlman. You know that whole scandal.
Yeah, I
and,
think a
like,
lot of these guys
Yeah.
get completely fucked. And if you look at these groups, what is there? 5 of those guys
Yeah,
in
yeah.
there? I mean, that's not a lot of money going around.
I don't know. I just don't. I mean, they had the best at the time. Adele finally broke their record a couple years ago, but they had the most. Like their No Strings Attached sold more albums first week than any other album like ever. It was like I don't want to say like 2 million or something like that, which was
Isn't that so funny? Like now, it's if somebody sells like 400,000 streams, it's like a platinum song.
dude. I know. I mean, nobody buys albums anymore.
I know.
When's the last time you bought a CD?
Cannot remember it. Although I was selling CDs on the road until like a year ago, and everyone would laugh every time I would plug it, and then I realized, oh yeah, you can't do it
That's
anymore.
still me.
Yeah, but I still have CD player in my car. I don't ever use it, but I have it
Yeah,
in my car, so I
right.
figured everybody does. And I
No,
realized,
but
oh, I have a very fucking old car.
Yeah, new cars don't have CD
Right,
players
right,
anymore,
right.
which is fucking crazy.
So I was like, okay, fuck, I can't do CDs, and I had the CD burned onto thumb drives, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna sell thumb drives. And then the next weekend I had a show at a old Jewish charity event in Boca Raton, and they had no idea what the fuck I was talking
Yeah,
about.
old people don't know.
They were like, "Where's the records?"
So you should sell records. I feel like people would buy records more than CDs.
They might
I've been-
because it's got some nostalgic value.
I've been
yeah.
contemplating this, but I'm not big enough to do it, you know. But eventually, like I think that would be the way to go. 'Cause people just want to buy something, right? When they like you after a show, they're like, I just want to buy something to show you, like, hey, I like you.
I
I'm
feel
gonna buy
like
this.
shirts, man. People just
Right.
love a dumb shirt.
Stupid, right?
Yeah,
And then you never wear it.
Never wear
And they
it.
never tag you in it when they're wearing it, but they buy them, and I'm like,
Right.
I'll take your money, but like maybe tag me, and so I can, use
Fuck
that.
it. Just get that $10 after price.
Okay, so one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on here is because like I said, you've been doing stand up for how long? Like 16?
Shit. Yeah, probably about 16.
Yeah. And I know for a fact that over the last couple years, I think you went completely sober.
Yeah, I've been
Right.
sober for coming up on 5 years now.
5 years. Because
Yeah.
when I think we went on that road trip,
Up to
God.
Tuolumne Meadows,
Yeah.
did some gig near Yosemite.
was
yeah.
that 5 years ago? I don't think you were,
Um,
because I don't think you were sober then. It might have been right before.
Yeah. It was over 5 years ago, I think.
That was like one of the first times I went like on a road trip with like a comic that wasn't trying to have sex with me.
Well, you don't know. Maybe I just didn't pull it off. But you know what's funny about that road trip? You did that gig, and I think the other guy hooked up with that gig was Gerard Carmichael.
Gerard, yeah. I remember I texted you too because that was John Fox's gig.
Yeah.
And then he was like, yeah, hit me up. You can come work the underground. And then I hit him up. And then finally, after like 12 email exchanges, I finally got to work the Comedy Underground. And then I sent you an email or a text. I was like, hey, thanks, man. Like, because I met John through you. I got this gig. I really appreciate. I'm always like appreciative of.
Yeah, no,
any
you got a
doors.
good attitude.
Yeah, and then, but then you were like, yeah, the last guy I did that for was Gerard Carmichael, and I'm like, well, fuck, thanks, dude. I'm not. I'm not quite there.
Yeah, but that's not how we got the break.
Right.
I don't think there was an executive from NBC in the crowd at Tuolumne because
Yeah, you're probably right. But you've been for 5 years now.
Yeah,
Good for you,
yeah.
man.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
What was there like a tragic event, or did you?
I
Just
wouldn't say
decide-
tragic. It was just like, it was a lot of blacking out, a lot of waking up with no memory, and then one time I woke up like 13 miles away from where I remember being, and I was like outside, and it was real bad.
you were outside?
Yeah, thankfully nothing happened.
Like outside where?
Just outside in like kind of like a off the road kind of grassy area. I still don't know any idea of how it happened.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I think Waffle King was involved, or what's it called, Waffle House.
Waffle House. Oh, you were
might have
like in
been
the South?
trying. I might have been trying to get. Yeah, I was trying to get to the Waffle House. I think I can't remember, but like I literally had no memory of it. I still don't really have much.
Wow.
I have a little memory, but I don't have like. I don't know why. I don't know. When I looked at credit card receipts, I just kind of pieced together what the hell had happened. But luckily, nothing happened. It was fine. But after that, I didn't drink anymore. That'll wake you up.
Yeah, that would probably make you not want to drink.
I shouldn't
anymore
say.
either.
Yeah, I mean, I remember what happened, but there's like little blank parts. Like I remember trying to get, like I was hungry, and then this, and then I wake up, and then I was just like, "Fuck, dude, I don't really know how I got here. Like I thought I was over there. How did I get over here?
Where were you specifically?
It was just sort of somewhere, whatever. It was just like it was somewhere.
I feel like there's some more stories involved with this.
There's not. There's not. But it was just like whatever. So, yeah. After that happened, like I said, nothing really happened. It was fine. There are no more stories. If it was more stories, I'd be talking about it on stage. There really were no more stories. It was just sort of like a pathetic sort of moment in time where you're like, fuck, I don't want to be this guy. And I have family members who are not my immediate family, but, close sort of family members who are alcoholics. I was like, I just don't want to do this shit. So I stopped drinking it. And I never really smoked pot or did any drugs, so that wasn't a problem. And, now I don't even really, it's like such not a thing I even think about.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
And I see you at the gym. Oh, I used to when I lived in that neighborhood. I moved.
Yeah, LA Fitness, $25 a month.
LA Shitness is what I
No,
call it.
I don't think it's as bad as people say, man.
No.
It is $25 a month.
Oh, your grandfather didn't then.
Dude, it's less than 2 salads at Sweet Greens.
Yeah. Oh, no shit. Did you just give Sweet Green the plug on my fucking podcast?
Dude, I live right next to Sweet Greens. I go there constantly.
Which one?
The one on La Brea.
The newer one.
Yeah, I'm there all the time.
Yeah, I like Sweet Greens too. It's just the actually it's okay, it's fine. The studio that I was teaching at, the owner is married to the owner of Sweet Greens.
Oh, that's right. You
But
used
they're
to teach that place right by Verb.
Super, yeah, super. Oh yeah, remember that's right. You were there.
Yeah.
When we were getting interviewed, and I'm just sitting there, like, for those of you guys that don't realize, until you're like super successful, like Mo, we all have to have jobs. And we've talked about this, but I train still, so I was interviewing.
I
for
love
this
how you
job.
consider me super successful.
Yeah.
But I do know you. I
know
what you mean, because when I used to have a day job, I remember looking at comics who didn't and thinking that was like just an entirely different lifestyle.
Yeah.
And maybe it is. Maybe I'm
totally.
just spoiled and I forget that.
Yeah.
And I probably should realize it, because obviously I don't consider myself insanely successful. I don't own a house ring.
It's the ladder. It's the ladder.
It's a ladder, but I do remember working at Pete's Coffee and talking to the guy I was opening for and be like,
Pete's
"God."
Coffee?
Yeah.
Like the actual coffee place?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I worked there for a year. And I was just like, God, was it like, hey, but you're right. Like sometimes I have to remind myself I don't have to get up and do a day job.
I was talking. Who was that? Oh, my girlfriend. I was talking about the ladder of like comedy ladder. Like, let's say like we're all on this ladder, right? And I'm looking up at this person, and I want to climb the ladder to where they are. And then those guys are maybe climbing, trying to look up to somebody. But then at the same time, there's people that are below me on the ladder trying to get to like hitting me up, like, oh, like I'd love to pick your brain. And I'm like, I mean, I'm just fucking like.
I know. I love when people say that. Well, pick your brain. About how I drove 600 miles to open for some guy for $30.
Yes. How I like slept in my car at the rest stop because they weren't paying me for a hotel.
I mean, like John Fox, you're talking about. I love John Fox. I just worked for him in Seattle. But like, he just offered me a gig today, and I said no, and it was like a 3-nighter. And it was like not a lot of money. And I was like, man, I would have definitely done this 6 years ago.
Yeah, well, that's great though.
But I'm now like. I mean, the money's enough that it'd be, I guess, worth it. But like, I don't want to fucking drive 900 miles in 3 days. Like, I can't do it.
But I remember, so I was interviewing for that position, and then whenever like we all need to do things to keep money, and I'm just lucky enough that I'm into fitness, so that's something that I can do. I can train people because it's not like it doesn't kill my soul. Like I'm still gonna work out, and I talk about fitness all the time. So for me to like make a living while I'm doing stand up, trying to make a living doing that, it's easier for my soul. You know, like I'm not selling knives or fucking
Yeah, and
like
and you're a friendly guy. You like people,
yeah,
so it
exactly.
kind of adds up for
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
So like, but I try not to because nowadays this is a thing where like companies, gyms, whatever, will look at your social media and they want to see like I know specifically there's certain gyms that like if you work at that gym, let's say, they want you to post on like Instagram, my teaching class this day and da 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 da, you know, like promote the studio, and they there was a gym like right around the same time that like I could see the girl on my stories like looking at my things, so like she wanted to see because all my posts, a lot of my posts, I do fitness posts, but a lot of them are comedy posts, and so I don't tell people that I do stand up until like maybe I'm in or whatever, and then like right we sit down to interview, and then you walk in, I'm like fuck I got to say hi to Mo,
Right,
and then
right.
she's like how do you know him? I'm like oh I'm a comedian, and then it was just like I was like well I'm not getting this job, but then I got it, and it was like great, but
It's same with like when I was on online dating, I would not put stand-up comedian
oh
in
you
my
can't,
bio.
yeah,
You get
girls
nothing.
hate it.
Right. And they should hate it. They should definitely hate it because they're like, you know, I was talking to some comic the other day at the comedy store and he was like complaining about how he's like doesn't have a girlfriend. I was like, well, dude, I see you here 7 nights a week. So
Right.
when would you even date?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, I mean that's a problem. I see if they want to meet up after the show. I'm like, well, no one wants to do that. Like,
Right.
that's I don't know why I mean my fiance is dating a comedian, so I probably shouldn't say anything, but like why would anyone want to sign up
for
for
sure.
this lifestyle?
Either
It's
on either side,
ridiculous.
guy or girl.
Yeah,
Pro-
it's ridiculous.
I actually think it would be worse if it was a guy dating a guy that wasn't a comic dating a girl that was, because she's always in the club, she's getting hit on. She's
Yeah,
getting whatever.
maybe, but I don't
know.
think women by nature want to like fuck their fans necessarily. I could be wrong, but most of the female comics I talk to, they're not like
Yeah,
trying to
that's
hook up with
true.
fans.
You're
Whereas
right.
guys always are. I mean, I met my fiance at a comedy show, so it's like, yeah, it's not that women don't like promiscuous kind of sexuality
Right.
stuff, but I just think like I've never talked to a woman, or very few comics who are like, I'm on the road trying to get laid. Maybe they don't tell me, but it just
Right.
doesn't seem like it's the same thing.
No, I get that.
But yeah, it's a terrible deal for people who date comedians. Like they're never gonna be around, and they're gonna talk about you on stage.
Yeah, for sure. Like either way, for the good or the bad.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But like I remember like when I was on I was on Match for like probably like a few months after my ex and I broke up, because I think it was like pre-Tinder, I feel like, before that was a thing, and almost every girl in her bio is like wants a guy I want a guy with a sense of humor, someone that makes me laugh, blah blah blah, and you're like, oh cool, well I'm a comedian. They're like, no, that's not what I meant.
Right.
I want a
him to-
lawyer or a doctor
Right.
that tells jokes. That's
I
different.
want to hear funny stories about his law office.
Yeah.
But the fact that is a lot of women do date comedians. I mean, you could trick them into it if you don't put it on your social media, and then once they like you, they like it. But my theory was always like that's how boring the average guy is. That like women will put up with the horrificness of dating a comedian just because at least we're funny.
That makes sense. They definitely don't do it because there's security involved.
No, it's funny. So the worst I ever did on any dating website was on J-Swipe, which was like a Jewish dating one.
Oh,
and I realized
J-Swipe.
in LA it's like 90% Persian Jews, and most of the Jewish women on there in general, I think like if they're looking for a Jewish guy enough that they want to go on a Jewish dating app, they don't want a non-professional Jewish guy.
Right.
Like they don't want a guy like me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I got no love on there. It was crazy. It's like my own fucking people.
Your fiance's not Jewish, right?
She is Jewish.
Oh,
yeah,
she
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her mom's Jewish. Her dad converted. Yeah.
Oh, lucky.
But her well, I don't really care. I honestly don't, I didn't really care about that. And I was just on JSWIP just like trying to, I was on all of them really. So it wasn't like a thing that I really cared about. But then I think there is, it is easier.
Yeah.
100% easier. Yeah.
What as going back to you like getting sober and everything, do you find, because like for me it's easy because I've never been into like drinking and whatever, like especially like just being at the comedy club and being around it all the time. For you being sober, is it hard being around it all the time?
No, not at all at this point.
Okay.
In the beginning, it wouldn't be hard, but I would have sort of like, if I'd see someone like drinking a beer or whatever, I'd sort of have that kind of like, that looks good kind of quality, which I occasionally have. And I would have a lot of dreams about accidentally drinking and then ruining my sobriety and stuff. But I mean, I tried to quit plenty of times and it was too hard and I couldn't do it. But then once I really quit this time, it was just like, it had been that bottom for me, that low point was so much lower than anything I had ever experienced really before that, and so much lower than I ever thought I would ever kind of experience. So I was kind of freaked out and just sort of like was able to really pull the trigger. But like I have alcohol in my fridge right now. My fiance keeps beer in my house, and like I don't even. I just don't even think about it.
That's great.
I mean, I am an addicted person by nature. Like I cannot buy a pint of ice cream without eating the entire thing one night.
Really?
Like, I just essentially cannot do it.
You try Halo Top?
That shit sucks. I would rather just like literally not eat ice cream than that. I hate that.
Really?
It sucks.
I mean, I think you know what it is. I think
it's horrible. Dude. It is like you must have Stockholm syndrome or something because that stuff is fucking terrible.
I didn't want to like it. There was another brand, and I'm gonna skip on the name.
It's called like ice something, Arctic Ice or something. Yeah, where it's like 12 calories, but it just tastes like ice.
It tastes like shit.
Yeah.
And then Halo Top came out, and I was like, oh, well, this is not bad. Trader Joe's also has like their version of Halo Top now. It actually tastes a little bit better, but they only come in like they've only perfected 2 flavors.
Water and
it's
soap.
It's like cookies and cream and peanut butter, which is like probably one of the worst tasting. I mean, it doesn't taste bad, but it's peanut butter. Like who eats peanut butter ice cream?
Yeah. I like peanut butter with like chocolate or something.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so you just do regular ice cream.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Or I'll do the one I really love, and it's more like a taste thing. Is the almond milk Ben and Jerry's ice creams. They have they have like this one called peanut butter cookie banana. Fuck, now I'm gonna have to get it tonight. But I can't buy. I can't not eat it all. You know, it's like fucking bad, man. I'll just sort of like get. I never thought I was really like had that addictive of a personality, but maybe it's the quitting drinking. For a while there, that my sugar levels were like, I was really craving sugar, and so I was eating a ton of candy and stuff, and now I feel like even still, like
candy,
yeah,
like what kind of candy?
Like just like anything, like,
really,
yeah, like peanut M&Ms, like cookies and cream and all, like bars and all anything, like because alcohol all turns into sugar, so you don't realize how much sugar you're pouring into your body every night. I
tell people all the time, stop drinking for a month and see what happens.
Yeah.
Just because of that, not even with the moral and all that stuff, just because of the sugar and how it turns in, like how your body just basically just keeps it.
And that shit's so real because when I'd quit drinking, then I would like wake up in hotel rooms in the middle of the night, just like craving sugar, and I would just like go down to the snack, thing in the hotel, and I remember doing that twice in one night one time. Like it's just like, it's real. Because also when I would drink a lot, I would also eat a lot of bullshit. So it's like on top of everything, But now it's funny. Like I had some really bad hecklers in Seattle this weekend. And
you?
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
At the underground?
Yeah, but they were just like trashed. By the time I got up there, they were so drunk they didn't know what's going on. And I don't usually get a lot of hecklers because I'm kind of forceful and I kind of talk like fast and loud and I kind of can overpower them.
And you're like a bigger guy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I think it's more like just like. I don't wait. Like, I'm not really that conversational. It's probably like I don't know. That's not like a strength. Like, it's probably a weakness in my act, but I feel like I kind of like deliver jokes, So I go for it. And I think they don't really have time. But anyway, they got in there and I was just looking at them like, man, when you're sober, like, you just look down on drunk people so much.
Totally.
You're just like, you're fucking pathetic.
This is why I don't like to go to bars anymore.
It's unbearable.
Like, when I was younger and, obviously, I was more driven by like trying to go out and getting laid and whatever. Like I could tolerate it because I'm like, well, maybe I'll get laid at the end of the night, so it's worth putting up with this shit. But as someone who's not going out and trying to get laid, I'm like, that's the last place I want to be.
The last place I want to go. Yeah, it is unbearable. I can't stand it. There's always some fucking idiot lurking around, spilling something on you. It's just like, ugh, yeah. Who can handle it?
Like the comedy club is for me, like that's my bar essentially, because that's fine. Like I can hang after. Talking to either comics or whatever, but yeah, being at a bar, like just for fun, like, hey, we're going for a happy hour. I'm like, nah. Do they have food there? No? Yeah, I don't want to go.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's rarely something I ever want to do. And when you're sober, it's just sort of like, it's like you just sort of, you're on like a different wavelength,
Yeah.
So it's like going to a dance, but like you're hearing different music playing.
Right.
You're just like, I don't know.
It's interesting, man. Like, I just don't get why people, I mean, not to be like, I'm not on my high horse. Like, I get it. Like, you feel different and whatever, but like,
I get it. It's fun as shit. I love drinking. Yeah, no, I mean, I get it because it's easier to be happy.
Right.
For someone like me, if I drink alcohol, I will immediately feel better.
Okay.
You know, and I would realize that like when I would going out with friends, I would be more interested in getting drunk than I would hanging out with them. Like that, like with the click in your head. That's what I definitely get it. I loved it.
Okay.
But it's just sort of like, okay, well, just because something's easier doesn't mean you should keep doing it.
Right.
You know, that's what I usually tell people. Like, you can still have fun and feel uninhibited and loose and all that and have confidence when you're not drinking, but it does take more mindfulness and work, you know.
That makes sense. So what's your addiction now? What'd you trade?
Well, I mean, like ice cream and everything. Yeah, all that stuff. And like, yeah, I think pretty much just that. I mean,
that.
Yeah.
Not,
Work, I guess.
I could think of worse addictions.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can think of worse addictions too.
But my dad graduated from alcohol to like meth.
Yeah, see, that's a master's degree.
Big jump. Yeah.
He really went for his master's.
He really did. And I don't understand because they're not even remotely close at all.
That's true. One's a downer, one's a big time upper.
But that's what I mean when you have, and that's why I think why I didn't start drinking early in life was because I saw that my dad had that, and so I'm like, oh, well, it's obviously in my blood, and then I just reharnessed it to like playing baseball and working out, and now it's like that and stand up, and it's like I have other addictions that society wouldn't necessarily label as addictions, but it's like
listening to NSYNC.
I mean, that's forever. If they get back together, dude, you're gonna
be addicted to going to those concerts and trying to catch the T-shirts when they shoot them out of those little cannons.
Dude, I waited in line. So if you guys are listening and not watching, I'm wearing an NSYNC sweatshirt. I think I've worn it on this podcast before.
I'm guessing you haven't taken it off in 3 years.
No, so I got this. So they got their star on the Walk of Fame. I want to say March of 2017. And so to go along with the star, they had like a little pop-up store / like NSYNC history museum, and it was over there by the Walk of Fame. And I went because I wanted just to see like the pop-up. They had like all their old costumes and pictures and just like memories of stuff. And I waited in line for 6 hours to go into that thing, and I'm like, I'm fucking buying something, dude. 6 hours.
You're crazy, man.
I mean,
that is really crazy.
But like throughout that time, what made it long? I mean, the line was super long, but what made it worse was that the guides were stopping by throughout the day. So like, and they would only let a certain amount of people into the store. So of course, you know, if you're sitting there waiting for the NSYNC museum and Joey Fatone walks in, you're gonna fucking try to get a picture with him. And so like, it would hold up the line. So I ended up being there for 6 hours to get this sweatshirt that I love. But yeah,
that is so wild, man. I was just talking to someone the other day about that. I'm like, I've never waited in a line like that for anything.
Really?
And I can't really think what I would wait in a line.
Did you ever like? So we're how old are you?
Yeah,
we're about the same
back
age.
half of my 30s. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you're old enough to remember though waiting in line for like maybe concert tickets, like in high school.
I never did it, but I remember people doing it.
Okay.
Yeah, or like when movies would come out, like Star Wars.
Yeah,
we would wait in line.
Yeah,
but I've never. Yeah, I've never.
Before like assigned seating and shit, and before like you could just go on your phone and get Ticketmaster or StubHub for that matter. You know.
Yeah, because La Brea where I live, like I'll just see kids lined up all the time for
like
these like
Supreme
pop-up.
and shit.
Yeah, like whatever the fuck these stores are that sell like clothes. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, people really want that shit.
I was talking about this. So I mean, it was on the tail end, but I do remember waiting in line for certain concerts. But I grew up in Ontario, which is not too far from here. You know where Ontario is, the Improv is. And we had, so back in the day, you would have to get concert tickets from Ticketmaster, and there wasn't an actual Ticketmaster location. You could go to the Warehouse. Remember the Warehouse? CD store?
The
Warehouse.
Yeah.
And then, or you could go to Macy's, or actually at the time it was Robinson's May. They also had a Ticketmaster there, so you would wait in line at one of those two places. Or if you were in the know, like me and maybe Paul, I don't know, Paul, you might be too young actually. Do you remember Ritmo Latino? It was on Euclid in Ontario, so it was like basically a Spanish version of the Warehouse, but they had a Ticketmaster there. So if you were smart, like let's say,
that's right, because I used to say at these Ticketmaster locations.
Yes,
that's right.
yes.
That's right.
So if you went, so like I remember, like whenever, like I remember specifically NSYNC, Blink-182, and Backstreet Boys. I went to Ritmo Latino, and
dude, I literally saw Blink-182 on Halloween.
Oh, you went to the K-Rock thing?
Yeah, yeah.
No.
This friend of mine is a DJ over there, and I did his podcast, and he's like, "Oh, do you want these tickets?" And it was fucking awesome.
They were great,
And they
dude.
were. Were you there?
No, but I saw them in the residency in
They
Vegas.
were really good,
Yeah.
man. But what I couldn't figure out is no one wanted to go see them. I had an extra
Really?
ticket.
You didn't
and-
ask me, Mo.
I should have asked
No, that's
you.
fine.
I finally found something. you were down on the list, but it took forever.
Really?
And everyone was like, "I hate that band." It's like, what?
What? Nobody hates Blink.
That's what I was like. It's like,
Nobody.
how can you hate that band?
Dude, yeah. I mean, I've probably seen them at least 7 or 8 times.
Do you know that
total.
guy from AFI?
The,
The lead,
Like-
you know the band AFI? Yeah,
I
that was
don't
good.
know his name, but
So
yeah.
I ran into him at because he went to my high school, and so
Oh,
I
wow.
ran into him a few times, and I certainly don't like know him very well, but I ran into him and I said, "Oh, I'm going to this Blink-182 concert tonight." I could just see in his eyes he was just like, "You fucking loser."
No, they're great, dude.
Dude, I was like, "Whatever,
Yeah.
they're fun."
The thing, you know what I like about them is like, okay, so like they were popular. They I'm sure they did before like we knew who they were. Obviously, like just like anything else. But like when they hit, like I was like in high school, and like I loved them. They're my favorite band. But like here they are, 20 plus years later, and they're still making new music, and their new albums are great. Like a lot of guys, like I mean, I'm not gonna name any names, but a lot of these older bands, they just keep riding out on their old songs. Like I mean, Motley Crue's getting back together again, which is great. Motley Crue's awesome, but like, when's the last time they made a new album?
Dude, I know. I don't understand like these bands that are just like because they're just kind of pathetic. They're just like,
Yeah.
"Hey, we're running low on money.
Yes.
You crank it up again." It's like,
Like if
dude.
you're gonna make new music, great. But
Right.
like
although there is nothing more annoying than going to a concert and not listening hearing the classics. I mean, like at the
course, of
Blink-182
course.
concert, if I would have not heard all the songs I wanted to
Yeah.
hear, I would have been.
But they find that you find a
annoyed.
balance.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
do like their hits, and then maybe half of the stuff, or off
Not
of
even
their new
half. I
album.
say
Yeah.
if I'm going to see someone I really like, like
Yeah.
when I saw Morrissey, it's like I'm giving you.
You like Morrissey?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
giving
really?
you. I like his music. I don't. Him as a person seems annoying as shit.
What is Paul? You can attest. What I don't
Why
like.
do Mexicans love
Yes.
Morrissey? I have no fucking idea, and I
'Cause I
didn't know.
don't.
I have no idea, and that is something I don't get. And I
I
had
don't
tried to
get
have
it.
this other Mexican guy explain to me why Mexicans love Morrissey, and it was, I didn't quite get his theory, but it's very true
what's
because
what's the,
I don't know, but it was like a ton of Mexicans at that concert. At the Hollywood
yes,
Bowl. I'm
that's
like,
all it is.
yeah, like Mexicans who don't even look like at all like into like alt rock or
Right.
whatever you call and they're all into it. I don't get it.
Do you like
Yeah.
Morrissey, Paul?
I mean,
Oh.
I'm not a big Morrissey guy, but I think
Okay.
it's because he's so emotional.
Is that what it is?
Because a lot of Latino music is like very emotional, So he's like
But
a
he's
rocker.
Banda.
but he's not Latino at all.
No, I know he's not. He's not at all.
Very much not.
Yeah.
But if you listen to like the themes of his songs, it's
Uh-huh.
kind of like similar to the themes.
I
of,
think
like-
there's something else too about like when he was big in LA. Somebody explained to me, and they're like, he just kind of got in with that. Somehow people got in with him. Like, yeah, but it's really weird because
Yeah.
when I used to like people who were into the Smiths and Morrissey and shit, it was always like indie rock or like white kids, And
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But like as I gotten older, like everyone I know, like all my friends that are Mexican, they're like they love him, and I'm like, really?
I know it's cool.
You know
I
what
think
else
it's cool.
shocked me too? One of my buddies, he was actually on this podcast. He's his name is Chris Hodges. Shout out to Chris. He is now there's this big Linkin Park tribute band called In the End, and he's the lead singer. He was the singer. He had his own band, but now now they're like signed with Live Nation, and they go to like all the houses. Like they're all over the place.
Just being a tribute band?
Yes,
Fucking crazy.
it's crazy. And so I went, just to show some support, and it was all my peeps. And I'm like, wait, when did that was all it was? It's just a bunch of Mexican people. And I'm like, I like it, and I'm Mexican, but it's just not what I picture at a Linkin Park concert or a Linkin Park like tribute concert. It's just, but maybe
But then it's like unfair to think of it because like I like plenty of stuff that is like completely ridiculous that I like. Like I'm fucking Jewish and I'll be singing along to like country songs. Like, that's what I love about Sunday. And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong? Or I listen to like Jamaican dance hall that is like obviously nothing to do with where I came from.
right.
So it's like, yeah, I don't know, but it is. What was it? Why did I bring up Morrissey though? I was trying to think why I brought him up.
Just, but I think that you were talking about being at a concert, and we were talking about Blink and.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. So if he would have done too much of his new shit, I'd have been
Right.
pissed.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, it's a weird thing with artists because, like, yes, you want them to grow and change, but you want to be able to sing along, or else why are you even there?
Right, I get it.
You know?
But do you think it's weird too that like we want to hear hits at concerts, but then like when people come to see us, they don't want to hear. They
Well,
want
like
you.
they don't want like your old jokes.
Yeah, they want new jokes, and you're like, dude, you don't understand. Like, I mean, I have them, but they're just not ready yet.
Right. Yeah, I guess it's because like jokes. It's all like the surprise is what makes it funny.
Right.
But I do think people don't ever really remember what you say anyway because I've had so many people come to shows and they're like, man, it's like all new material. I'm like, not even a little bit. And they just don't remember.
Right.
You know, they're there, they have a few drinks, they kind of remember you said some shit, But now with everyone putting out like 1,000 specials and everything on YouTube, yeah, I mean, it's, I was talking to like some people I know who are like pretty well known. I was like, man, like, can you even do that bit anymore? Because it has like 10 million views. They're like, no, I can't do it anymore. People are like, I'm like, oh,
I was
good problem to have, I guess.
I was talking to Brian Regan, and it was super cool. We were in Wichita performing at the club there, and he was doing a theater in Wichita the same night. And then after his show, he came to the theater to hang out with us.
He came to the comedy club?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, he came to comedy just to
Really?
hang out. Yeah,
Wow, that's so cool.
I guess it's like a thing that he does. And he came on his tour bus, and he's just hanging out with us, having.
And he didn't know you were the other comic?
No, he just was gonna go anyway. Like,
really?
The club owner was like, hey, or the manager was like, Brian Regan's gonna stop by, and I was like, oh, cool. Like, I know, I've met him, I've worked with him before. And he came, and I was just talking to him, asking him, like, kind of like that, like, because he's obviously has a huge following, but like, what do you do when you're on the road? Like, do you feel the need to like be churning out new stuff? And he's like, I just do whatever I feel. He's like, I don't mind telling jokes that I've told 500 times, or for like 5 years ago, 10 years ago. He's like, I give him a little bit of everything. He's like, because most of the people in the audience have probably never seen me before. So like to just cater to the 10% that has, it's,
Right.
And I was like,
he's crazy. I was actually thinking about him the other day because, I was up in Seattle and, I did like 7 shows and they were all pretty much the same set. And I remember hearing that Brian Regan would come into places and do, I think it was like 4 different sets in a weekend. So he could be like, you could come back tomorrow and be completely different.
Yeah.
Just unfathomable to me
Yeah.
to do that.
It's also unfathomable that he does it without saying any bad words at all.
No, I know. I mean, it's crazy. And he's Brian Regan. Like, I don't even think I've ever seen him live. Like, I've never met him or anything. But he's one of those weird guys who like has the respect of like everybody.
Right.
Like even like the edgy comics like respect him because
Yeah.
he dominated New York when they were there and all that kind of shit. Yeah, man, he's one of those rare comics who like built a huge audience just by touring.
Yeah. But that's what what I was kind of getting at was like, you'll see, you're at the Comedy Store and whatever, like you see people working on what their special is going to be, so even though it's in 15-minute blocks, maybe they run the hour a couple times, but most of the time at the Comedy Store, at least, they're working out in 15-minute blocks and then they're piecing it together and then they tour on it and then finally shoot it. Whereas for him, I'm like, he doesn't go to clubs. He's just on the road tour. And that was my question to him was like, how do you...
but if you're a guy at that level, like, and you're performing in theaters all the time, I'm sure it just feels like a club.
Yeah, I know.
You're in
Imagine
a 500 theater, you're just like, eh.
Like, imagine that.
I know.
It's crazy.
I was cool. I did one of those Just for Last tours up in Canada with some other comics in April and through like Toronto and all that. And we did like, it was like 12 shows in a row. They were all theaters. And it's like, you get so comfortable on a theater stage so quickly.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, this one's 1,200. Okay, cool. Yeah. And then like you're back to being on the road by yourself. Like, oh, it's 30 people. Okay. But after a while, like it does sort of seem similar. But yeah, I wonder about that too. I mean, like, yeah, how do these guys? I mean, that's why you see guys like Rogan and guys who do pump out specials. Like they're fucking on stage every night at the Comedy Store, like 3 nights. Three times a night.
Or a hat trick, doing fucking all 3. Like.
And you're just like, oh, I wish I had that opportunity. Can I get my 1 spot a week? Like, how can I?
You only get 1 spot a week?
Like 2 usually. Like,
come on, are you serious?
Dude,
what the fuck am I supposed to do, Mo?
No, it's fucking hopeless.
God damn it! You're supposed to. This podcast is supposed to inspire people.
Well, you should inspire me. It should inspire you that you can make a living and you can make a comfortable living doing this. But
you don't need
to get into that. I need it psychologically. I want to get it, but it's like you just got to kind of keep banging down. Like I said, like most of the money I make is off writing. You know what I mean? Like, and I've been able to break down those doors and sort of. That's kind of what creatively inspires me the most these days. Comedy, I'm frustrated by because I don't know how to move up. Yeah. Like I just sort of feel like, everyone who's seen me has seen me, and I've gotten the opportunities I've gotten, but I don't know how to get in front of other people. I don't know how to get other opportunities. It's very frustrating, you know. So it's sort of like, you know, once you don't see enough feedback or gain on something, it's kind of like, for me, mentally less exciting to keep pursuing it.
Got it.
You know, so I keep pursuing it because I love it and I do believe in my talent, but it's sort of like, yeah, I don't like. I just feel like I'm in like this holding pattern, and I don't really know exactly how to, you know, through just stand up.
Right.
I don't know how anything changes. You know, like that's why I'm trying to, like, you know, have this show that I'm setting up right now that I'm gonna, you know, hopefully things forward. I'll get to be in front of the camera again. Blah blah blah. Trying to get, you know, I shot this series for a studio that's supposed to be on one of these streaming services soon. Like all that kind of stuff. Once that happens, then people start, you know, building. Then I could start get back into it. But you know, it's dude, it's just fucking so stacked right now.
Yeah, but that's why I think like there's you can just do stand up, but like there's other, like this to me, like doing a podcast it's not stand up, but it just feeds into it. You know, everything I do feeds into it. Like, yeah, it'd be cool to be on a TV show, whatever, but like ultimately I want that to feed into my stand up. Like it'll be cool to do a movie or whatever, but like I'm still gonna come back to stand up for me. So like I think there's just different outlets that you can use to supplement what you're I mean, we're just talking.
Right,
know?
right.
And you have your podcast with your girl. That's not even comedy related.
Well, it's definitely comedic. I mean,
it's funny, but it's not like
we're not talking about comedy, no. But it's
it's educational.
So it's the we tell people about it. So it's the full release. It's like people call in with sex and medicine advice questions, and she's a doctor, so she gives the medical, and I just sort of goof around and be funny. And it's funny because on that podcast, I do find that like more and more we're kind of like drifting towards comedy.
Yeah.
And then sprinkling in some sex and medicine stuff. And I think that vibe works the best because unless you're literally looking at like a medical problem you have right now, like it's not like, you know, how much of that are you going to want to listen to? You know what I mean? So I think we're finding a good balance with it. It's pretty fun. Yeah. But I don't know. I also feel like with comedy, sometimes I get creatively bored of having to talk about myself. You know, like writing a movie or the other stuff I'm working on. It's like you get to like write about like other stuff and like car chases and all kinds of. It's exciting, you know. And then sometimes I just go back to myself like, so I'm Jewish, and I mean like, and so maybe I'm just creatively blocked where like I don't really know what else to, you know. Like I see guys like Theo Vaughn or guys I really respect who like just sort of like are always digging up like really like fucking interesting things to talk about.
He's been through like I feel like people that have been through some shit are always able to like remember like something that happened. You're like, oh yeah,
or they've been through the same stuff you've been through, but they somehow able to like mind more from it.
Yeah,
you know, we've all lived interesting, crazy lives. It's just a matter of like creatively being able to kind of tap into what's intrinsically ridiculous about it.
Intrinsically, you know? That's the first.
That's a big word.
Yeah, that's the first time that word's been used on this.
Really?
Podcast.
Do I get a prize or something?
I brought some for you, but you didn't want any. Shout out to Elixir, these new CBD creams that I'm working with. One of the sponsors now on my podcast. You're welcome. 10 pounds on elixircure.com to get.
CBD is it's everywhere.
This shit works great though. Like you know, we're like I said, we're about the same. I'm 40, Mo. I'm actually a little bit older than you.
You're 40?
I know. It's crazy.
You look young, dude.
But it's weird because like, you know, I started stand up so late that like I have like I don't want to say like you're not my peer, you're more like my superior, you know, because you're like ahead. And like I mean, we're like colleagues. But,
right.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And so it's like it's a weird dynamic because there's people that are essentially younger than you, either a little or a lot.
Right, but that happens so quick.
But
I mean, there's guys at the Comedy Store who are door guys now, who have monster careers above mine now. I'm just like, I don't know if I think they're funnier than me, but they definitely attach their wheels to the right fucking wagon, you know, and you're just sort of like, all right.
But the thing is, like, it's weird because it's like people that like I look up to and respect or like even seek advice to. In comedy, they're like, you know, 10 years older than me or, you know, 7 years, whatever. But like in real life, they're actually 2 or 3 years younger than me. And I'm like, no, I was getting laid when you were like still in high school. Or like, it's weird.
Were
but, like,
you?
Yeah. I mean,
were
no,
you
I
at the NSYNC concert? Were you?
Maybe close to the
Being molested by your chaperone does not necessarily count.
I didn't get laid till I was 20. That was my first time.
Okay. Yeah, we got it laid around the same time.
I don't have. Oh, really? I see. Good for you, man. I didn't. Are we at 50? Is that what you say? People are always surprised, and it's like, okay, let me just rephrase that. I wanted to have sex before I was 20. I just couldn't convince anybody to do it with me.
Right.
So
yeah, we've all experienced that from time to time.
But I had to move out finally of my parents' home. Well, It was long. My parents got evicted from their home. My dad got us evicted.
The
So
meth thing wasn't helping him pay the
it
bills.
was not lucrative.
So he was a meth. He's a meth user, not seller.
both.
Oh, dabbles in both one. Not a smart one. No,
Not smart.
no.
But long story short, like he got into drugs, and then this is how it happened. So when you get high on meth, you find things to do all night long, and so him and all his like tweaker friends would just sit up and play darts all night long.
Oh God, terrible,
and like in
terrible
our house,
combo.
Yeah. So, but it gets worse. So obviously they play darts, and I would wake up for school, and they'd still be awake, and I'm like, fuck, dude, like I get playing darts, but like this is fucking
How old
ridiculous.
were you at this time?
Like I was in college,
Oh, so you
like
knew
high
they were
school
you
and
knew they
college.
were on meth.
I didn't. I just thought it was just weird that they played
You're
fucking.
not a good detective.
No, not. I mean, now looking back, I'm like, oh yeah, of course. But so somebody he met in that, he got the brilliant idea that he would start selling like dart boards and dart supplies because him and all his tweaker friends loved playing so much. And if you look around, there's no dart stores or whatever. Like, look, think about it. Nobody sells darts.
Oh
Nobody.
God.
And I'm
It
like,
sounds
okay.
so
So yeah,
methy.
so he
Yeah.
started his business. His like dart, we would go to like swap meets and stuff and set up shop and sell like brand new stuff. Like he would order them like wholesale and try to sell them. And I mean, he wasn't making like a huge profit, but like he was making enough money at some of these things that he got the big idea. The big kicker was he ended up buying a booth at the LA County Fair that costed like way more than him and my mom had, and that was basically all their money
And this
poured
was
into
cash in on darts.
Yeah, yeah, this lucrative dart
Crazy
business.
idea.
And
So, yeah, so you're like just not connecting the dots. You're like your dad's teeth are falling out. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, he must eat a lot of candy.
yeah, but he did though, and that's what I thought it was.
Oh man.
But he smoked for a long time, like just regular, like he smoked cigarettes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, yeah, he smokes cigarettes. He eats a lot of candy. That's why his teeth are falling out. No, but I was naive back then. But that was
the candy didn't help. Let's
Yeah.
just give it that.
But that was when. So then they got evicted, and I was 20. I had to move out. So then I got a place with my buddy, and literally, the weekend that I moved out, I just went through my phone and called or paged every girl I knew until someone finally came over and had sex with me.
Fucking wild.
That's
man.
how I lost my virginity.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
Is your dad still in jail?
No, he's out now, but he's his brain's not. He's kind of. I don't. He's just a very, very small shell of himself.
How long was he in jail for?
Like a couple years, but he's in prison, and then he like gets in trouble and stuff. So
Right.
he was facing a bigger sentence, and then because he's like older and whatever, and it was just meth. Like they cut him like good behavior. They let him out early.
Right.
He's semi-disabled, so I think they were like felt sorry for him too, and they just let him go.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Craziness, man.
we've all been through stuff.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's why I know I have an addictive personality, and that's why I just
Yeah.
my addictions are different. They're not like something that's gonna, affect my family or whatever. But like my addictions are just more selfish, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but some people do.
As your dad, does he have like a dart themed podcast? He's very excited about.
He can't talk.
He can't talk.
He can, but it's like, he's like it's worse than like Ozzy Osbourne. Like he'll be like, "Hey, good to see you, son." Yeah, and it's just like it sucks because you can't have like have a real conversation with
dark, dude.
him. Yeah, I know. But I mean, it's
Anyway, come see us at the comedy club.
I know it's my reality. It's just and
Yeah.
I'm able to talk about it on stage, and frankly, when I first started, I mean, we don't know shit when we were just starting off stand up, and I didn't know. I mean, I wasn't afraid to be on stage, but like I wasn't talking about the things that I do now. It wasn't until I started like kind of talking about my dad and just the shit, on stage that people would like kind of start remembering like, oh yeah, like you're this, and so I was like, oh, this is more personal because it's vulnerable, but it's also like when I make it funny, it's like, oh, he's making us laugh about this. So
Right.
I felt like that's when I really started turning a corner in my stand up, at least to like just get, I don't know, like not success, but just like, all right, like I'm onto something.
Yeah,
now.
you can always tell when you're connecting with something.
Yeah.
With something that's real.
But now it's like weird because, like I said, because he's so like out of it. I'm struggling with like how to try to make that funny, but Yeah, I know.
My dad's catatonic.
It's weird.
Anybody ever heard of lobotomy?
So it's just like, oh man, so now I'm like trying to talk, bringing more of my girlfriend into it, and it's, it's
Yeah.
whatever. But like I said, that's part of why, I take care of myself. And whenever
Yeah,
people,
no, it's great if you learn the right lessons from it. That's all.
Yeah.
That's what life's about. Just trying
Exactly.
to learn the right lessons.
Mo, before we get out of here, where can they find you?
Yeah, check me out on Instagram, The Real Mo Mandel. Our podcast is called The Full Release, and I don't know when this is airing, but I will be at Mohegan Sun at Comics.
Comics.
Yeah, I'll be there the 19th of December through the 22nd.
Okay.
I got 21st. Yeah.
Is that in Connecticut?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was like, one of my friends who lives there now, who may or may not listen to the podcast, was like, "Tell me when you're there," and I'm like, "Yeah, probably won't be there for a while, but
Yeah, no, it's fun.
Other
It's a good
people-
club. It'll be
yeah.
nice and freezing out there too.
oh yeah." And like I said, full release is on. It's everywhere too,
The
right?
full release, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, pretty much YouTube. I put up videos every week.
You do?
Yeah.
Like
Like stand-up videos.
like recent stuff, like you
Stuff
shoot.
off my special, and then like other recent stuff. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that sounded like the thing they do now, huh? You got to be.
Gotta
consistent
try to
with
do
it.
everything.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're talking about. All right, buddy. Thanks for coming in,
Yeah,
man.
dude, thanks for having me. It's
Thank
fun.
you so much. Hey, if Mo stopped drinking, you guys can stop drinking too. Get the fuck out of here. If you like the podcast, I'm supposed to say this at the beginning. I keep forgetting. Like it, share it, review it on Apple Podcast. I will be at the it's called the 51st Street Speakeasy in Oklahoma City this Wednesday at 8:00. And I'll just be there. I'm doing some other shows like on the military base while I'm there, so you guys can't come to those. So if you're in Oklahoma City, come on Wednesday and look out for what I got coming next, guys. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for listening. Bye.